Hello, everyone, and welcome to Random Number Generation. This is episode 42, Ori and the Will of the Wisp randomizer. However, I know there's a lot of questions folks have about a certain event happening next week. So before we get into our awesome run, SGDQ 2021 online is this upcoming weekend. Come see a week-long marathon benefiting Doctors Without Borders, and come see the event and donate here on the Games Done Quick channel starting July 4th to the 11th. Go to gamesdonequick.com for more information about SGDQ as well as all of our hotfix shows. If you're watching on YouTube, hey everybody on YouTube, hope y'all are doing well. Would like to support our live shows, feel free to check us out at twitch.tv/GDQ. With that being said, hello everybody.
Hello.
Hey.
Yeah, hi, I am Aiko the Blue. I'm joined here by Seal. We've got our runners here, Sirius and OMFQ, and we are going to be showing you a race of the Ori and the Will of the Wisp randomizer, all trees plus all wisps. Everybody say hi.
Hello, hello.
Hello. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started real quick. I will give us a countdown. Are you both ready?
Yep.
All right, then we will start in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so to top this out, or to get us started, we are going to be playing Ori and the Will of the Wisps. This is a Metroidvania. It is going to be randomized, and one of the things that's going to be randomized is a random spawn. And as we see here right away, our runners are spawning with the skills Regenerate, Burrow, and Sword. And we're going to see them immediately start to use Burrow to grab some of these early pickups.
That's true, that's true. So what is Aiko is pretty much like a resident randomizer expert. What is the kind of objective for early game for the runners? What are they looking to kind of achieve early on?
So there are a lot of different things that we're going to be looking for here. Our runners are going to be looking for skills and abilities to get more access to the map. We actually saw them find the first skill already, which is grapple. We'll see a lot of this use of the sword ability. That's that that basically like sword slashing. Sword is a decent weapon. It's also really, really good for movement. So we'll see, you can see there on the right, OMFQ is sword to basically get a little bit of extra air distance, which will help him get over these spikes. But yeah, our major goal here is going to be get more skills, get access to more of the map, get more health, more energy, basically all these wonderful things that our runners need to keep Ori alive and find out or get access to more and more there. And ooh, there's another nice skill pickup that is going to be Glide for OMFQ.
So I think it might be good as well actually to explain kind of the rules of the race. So we're running all trees and all wisps. So what exactly does that mean for the runners?
All right, so Ori has a bunch of different objectives. Ori has 14 different skill trees. Those are locations where you get skills from the game. In the all trees variant, you have to get the item at each of those locations. Ori also has 5 wisps. That is the wisp referenced in Will of the Wisp. Those are frequently locked behind either boss fights or escape sequences, and they're major objectives required to complete the game. And in this variant, you need to get all of them to complete the game. We're also playing with a setting called Launch on Seer. Seer is the last wisp that you get, so our runners will get Launch, which is the best skill in the game by far, after they've gotten all the wisps. And ooh, speaking of great skills, we've got a few things going on here. On the right, you can see that OMFQ just got Dash. He's going to be able to use that to make these like large vertical, horizontal movement. And on the left, Sirius grabbed 2 things. He got the Pro skill tree, which is going to, it's one of the trees that he needs for this goal mode, and also gives him an item. But the other thing that Sirius got was a hint. That hint gives a list of, or not a list, but the number of skills that he can find in this waste area. So there are 5 skills total that are available to be found here in the Windswept.
I also think it's worth mentioning the Windswept Waste is one of the late game areas in the game. So if you're playing this casually, it would be expected you have basically every skill in the game except launch at this point, especially all the movement skills. So the runners are going through this area with a lot of They have to work very hard and with really limited selection of abilities, and still managing to use certain tricks and to get around and get most of the pickups anyway.
Yeah, the limited selection of abilities is pretty rough. The other thing that's really rough is they spawn with 3 health, and the stuff here does a lot of damage. We actually just saw a really neat piece of movement from OMFQ. He did a sideways dash, and wow, OMFQ has already found 4 of the 5 skills. He just got the hint, and so he's found a double jump, glide, dash, and water dash. So there's one more skill hidden here somewhere in the windswept waste.
Yep, as we see, Sirius has just picked up glide as well. So do you think the runners are they gonna attempt to do as much as they can in windswept before moving on? What are we looking for them to get out of this area and go to potentially a different area?
So there are teleporter pickups. I think we saw, Sirius described the Eastwoods teleporter. I think OMFQ has that as well. So I think what they're looking for is either a teleporter to get further out of here, or depending on the skills that they find, we could see them ending up just leaving to the east, to the west, which would take them towards Silent Woods. They'll need a fair number of keystones to do that. I think we see that 3 on OMF or on Sirius's side and 4 for OMFQ. You want to have at least 4, sometimes more, because you need really 6 keystones to get anywhere, decently far into Silent Woods coming from Wastes. But we'll see. OMFQ looks like he's going to be heading deeper into Wastes, which is a pretty good idea. Waste has a decent number of pickups here, and they eventually are going to want to have access to the end of Waste. There's a teleporter there, so if seeing OMFQ go deeper into this area makes a lot of sense, and I expect we'll see Sirius doing that too.
Yeah, it makes sense to grab this teleport because the last quest we get called Seer is in like a sort of dungeon area at the end of this section of the map. So then picking up the teleport will allow them to just teleport back whenever they are ready to collect that wisp.
Yep. We see here OMFQ is checking out this middle of waste section. There's a bunch of little puzzles here where you have to bait these little torpedo enemies into breaking these purple walls, which we're seeing OMFQ do very well. This area can be really tricky to navigate, especially with only 5 health, but he's doing very well, avoiding all the damage and getting through here, and he's through to the checkpoint. So that is a nice advantage.
Yeah, and we see actually OMFQ picking up Light Burst there, so he's finally found all of the skills in this area, as well as the Qualix Hollow teleporter. Qualix Hollow is one of the kind of an early game area, so it's usually a good place to get pickups because you're not gated by any particular skill, I don't believe.
Yeah, ooh, that is actually really obnoxious. OMFQ takes a death there to these lasers. It is a good idea to do a damage boost here, but because of where the checkpoints in this area are, it can be really obnoxious to go back afterwards. So yeah, you saw that he had to go pick up that Light Burst again. Light Burst is a very good skill. We will see our runners make a lot of use of. It's decent in terms of what it's intended to do originally, but there's a lot of very powerful movement you can do with it. And here we see OMFQ has activated that teleporter, and he's going to immediately leave Wastes, and he's going to head over to that Qualix Hollow teleporter.
That's it. So when a runner kind of enters a new area here, what are their objectives in the new area? Assumably they're going to be trying to go for the hint possibly as soon as possible if they're able to kind of see what's available, right?
Yeah, however, you can't really get a hint. The Qualix Hollow hint is on the other side of the teleporter, which isn't really accessible. So actually, most of Qualix Hollow is sort of locked off right now. What we are going to see OMFQ do is he'll head down here to the Bash Tree, which is where he's headed right now. He might not... There are 2 objectives here that he needs to get in order to fully grab the area. Ooh, wow, that's Bash. Bash is one of the best skills in the game. Both in Ori 1 and Ori 2 lets you grab enemies. And there, OMFQ is showing off some really cool movement technique in Ori 2. Basically, if you do a bash and then pull a Light Burst out right after, your bash doesn't slow down. So you'll see both our runners, I assume, once they both get the skills, doing a fair number of these bash zooms. And there we just saw OMFQ grab the first Wisp. Wisps are nice to have. Every time you get a Wisp, you get 1 extra health and energy. So we saw OMFQ grab the first Wisp, which is the Voice of the Woods. And now he has more health and energy to work with.
As you see, both runners here, actually, there's a big kind of arena that they both kind of doing particular movement to skip over. Because if you touch the ground in that arena, you do actually fight a boss called Humbug. And find that boss will obviously take a lot of time, and there's no real reason to do it in the randomizer, so they'll both be avoiding touching the ground in that area and getting further in the way to basically skip the boss trigger.
Yep. It's good stuff. And now we see Sirius retreading the ground that OMFQ was just on, and OMFQ is going to head into Glades. Glades, the Wellspring Glades is a sort of like town hub in this area, and it's got a lot of pickups to find. You can buy a bunch of stuff. Both shopkeepers are available here. We actually just saw OMFQ sneak in and buy the hint for the map, by the map hint for the area, and he has learned that there are 4 skills to claim. Is nice information.
Maybe you could also explain what OMFQ is doing, seemingly floating through the air while holding the grenade down.
Oh yeah, so those are, that is what we call a grenade float or a light burst float. Basically, there are a lot of animations in this game that you can interrupt in funny ways, and light burst is really good at animation interrupting. So what OMFQ is doing there is he is jumping and then pulling out a grenade on the same frame, and while you're aiming that grenade, the game doesn't slow down your, doesn't decelerate you from the jump properly. So we'll see both runners using grenade to get these really nice floats in several places actually, just because it's very efficient movement, gives you a lot of verticality.
So we see both runners kind of doing some kind of quest stuff. There's a bunch of quests in the game, and every time they receive an item from a quest, that is also a randomized pickup. And they're also talking to Grom, and Grom has there's a bunch of Golak ore throughout, well, also randomized. If you pick up Golak ore, Grom can basically unlock paths, areas of the glade, which also has additional pickups inside of.
Yep. So basically this is just our runners checking out a very high density area and using the movement abilities that they have access to, or the like movement glitches that they have access to check a bunch of stuff that they would otherwise have to come back for later. Glades is an area that in the base game you get skills, or as you explore the map, you find items that let you basically plant seeds, and those seeds give you access to more movement and basically a better ability to get around the map. But with these abilities that our runners have, they really don't need to worry about that. They can just go ahead and basically get almost all the checks that are easily available in Glades.
As we see this incredible movement time, even used a great effect here in Silent Woods. Silent Woods has got a lot of open space. When you watch both players, it's like zooming through the air for like a very extended period of time.
Yeah, these bash zooms you can get a absurd amount of value out of in these large open rooms. Fun little thing about this technique, it uses bash and light burst, but it also just doesn't work if you don't have grapple. Our runners found grapple very early on, so it doesn't matter. But you know, if you're trying this at home and it's not working at all, and you're just thinking, Ego, why did you lie to me? I'm just trying this technique and it can't work. You have to have grapple also.
Yeah.
We don't really know why.
I did that in my first randomizer. I thought I was doing it wrong, but I just didn't have grapple, so.
In the base game, you can't really get light burst before grapple. I mean, you can, but only with like a pretty serious sequence break. So it's not the kind of thing that comes up. But you know, in the randomizer, it is very relevant. All right, so we've got OMFQ and Sirius are both basically going backwards through Silent Woods, checking a bunch of pickups. OMFQ is going to stand here and let this little gas bag guy explode, taking some damage, but that's the only way to break through that wall. And then he's going to come up here to a 4 keystone door, and ooh, Sirius just found Flap, which is a very useful skill. It basically just creates a little burst of wind, and you can use it to shove enemies aside. But there's also a couple pickups and a entire major area that you cannot really access without Flap, so that is a big thing to find. And yeah, there we see OMFQ has his Flap too, and is going to use it to blow that leaf pile away and grab these pickups.
That was interesting to me. These players are seemingly flying across the screen, but horizontally. maybe you could also explain that technique, movement glitch that we're using here.
Oh yeah, that is a wave dash, and what's going on there is another one of these animation canceling glitches. And what it is if you start a dash and then also start using the skill regenerate, and you dash into a wall and then start regenerating and turn around, it will basically fail to decelerate you from a dash, and you can get a lot of horizontal speed very quickly. And we'll see our runners do that anytime they want to move away from a wall along the ground.
So we just saw Sirius do one right there. Yep. It's a great way to save some time.
And Sirius heading up here, activating this teleporter, and he's going to head over this way and talk to an NPC as well. And all right, OMFQ has found the least useful skill in the game, Blaze. It just not a very good damaging damaging skill. Oh, far more useful skill just picked up by Sirius. Spike. Spike can be used to break the fragile barriers that we'll see in a couple places. OMFQ just got his spike also. There wasn't really a way to avoid doing it, and going to do another one of those. Wow, actually 2 regen dashes back to back, and get a lot of value out of it.
So a question I got asked, so in the all Wisps version of the randomizer, we have to fight several bosses. Are the runners going to be concerned about trying to find skills or shards that allow them to do damage? The Spike is a great example of an ability when if you can get enough energy and a couple of damage shards, it can actually just rip through bosses very quickly.
Yeah, there are definitely some shards that you can get that will help you a lot with these boss fights. However, our runners have sword and double jump, and that's really what sword, double jump, and the ability to heal, and that's really like the minimum of what you need to be able to deal with bosses, because you can deal a lot of damage by repeatedly canceling your sword animation. So more damage will be great, our runners will love it, but they're not going to be super worried about not having it. And oh, nice. Both our runners are heading towards Wellspring, the Wellspring, which is an area that has a tree, which is what we'll see them doing there. And Sirius just found, and OMFQ is probably going to find very soon afterwards, the clean water item, which is basically, it's not a skill really, but it gives you the skill of swimming in the water without drowning, and or not taking poison. It is really nice to have and gives access to a bunch of different pickups in the Wellspring area. And actually we're seeing a bit of a divergence here. We're seeing Sirius is heading towards the Luma Pools area, while OMFQ is heading towards Bar's Reach. He's going to use that feather, make the bear sneeze, and once the bear sneezes, you can access his mountain. A beautiful winter wonderland.
Yeah, it's been very interesting. So far, up until this point, the runners have basically gone to the exact same places. How much... So, as if you get to be an experienced kind of randomizer runner, how much can you kind of like figure out based on the skills, like the logic path that the seed is expecting you to take?
It honestly depends quite a lot, because some things like point more obviously than others towards specific things. Like if you're in the early game and you find like Hammer, there are like a few checks that Hammer unlocks in the early game, especially with the normal Marsh spawn starting point. But Ori and the Will-O-Wisp is a really open map, and with the skills the runners have and the teleporters that they have, there are a lot of places progression could be, and more importantly, there are a lot of places that they can check. So what our runners care most about now is heading to areas that have lots of pickups and grabbing those pickups as efficiently as possible along the ways to their objectives. So we see OMFQ is heading into this Bar's Reach area, because Bar's Reach has both a wisp and a tree, and so does Luma Pool. So OMFQ actually just ran over there to grab the teleporter to Bar's Reach so he can come back later, and he will be able to use it, use that to get to the Lightburst tree after he's gotten the Memory of the Forest, which is the wisp in this area.
And as we see Sirius and Latia actually going and starting the Quallock boss fight, actually starts the sequence with there's a little escape sequence at the start where Quallock chases you, and then we will be going to fight the boss. And to be honest, he actually already has a lot of health and energy, so I don't really see this being a problem, but we can see how well he does. Assuming he is just going to use Sword. A lot of the enemies and boss fights and stuff, like using sword and double jump to kind of keep yourself in the air actually like helps avoid a lot of their attacks.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of the AI and a lot of the attacks are kind of assuming that you're mainly going to be spending most of your time on the ground. As you can see, you can do basically just 5 sword hits, but each of the runners, when they were trying to fight with sword, they'll only ever use 4, and then they use double jump to cancel and reset the animation, because the 5th animation is one that cannot be cancelled. It's a bit slow.
Yep. All right, and there we saw Sirius looked like he took a death at the beginning of the chase. That is just sort of an artifact of the way we skip the race cutscenes, and now he is going to be doing really after a flawless escape section. He is going to just be wailing on Koala here, this poor frog. Sword is really good in terms of like the DPS it does, and so he's just going to stay in the air a bunch of the time, and he's throwing grenades in between sword slashes because grenade does a lot of decent damage over time. And he has got this fight basically in the bag. He is almost done with it. Over on the right, you can see OMFQ just did a beautiful movement sequence to ascend up to the top of Bar's Rage and is now going for a tricky cutscene skip to start the escape for Bar's Rage. So we've got both runners approaching the Wisp in their areas. Sirius has just finished his fight.
Since unfortunately didn't get the cutscene skip, basically you have to get above that tree, but not too high. If you go too high, you reach a void area. The game basically says you shouldn't be there, and it just sends you back to your last save point. If you can get the cutscene skip, you can basically instantly start this escape. And it's a long cutscene. It's a 60-second cutscene, approximately. So it's a lot of time that can potentially be saved. But unfortunately, if you don't get it, the area is actually a bit risky to... you can potentially quit the menu and try again, which would still be faster than watching it, but the area is a little bit prone to crashing if you quit the menu too many times there. So most runners just play it safe.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you'll see as the game's being played, some of these cutscenes we've actually removed or made shorter in the randomizer, but some of them that isn't really possible with the way we're modding the game, and so sometimes you just have to sort of sit through and watch them. And yeah, here we see OMFQ doing an incredible job moving through this escape very quickly. It's got a bunch of sections designed to show off different skills. Here he's going to be bashing some lanterns. Here he's going to grapple these neat little sand things you can burrow through. And in that wind section, he actually is refreshing his dash by gliding, and he is basically through to the end. And yeah, so now we're going to have both our runners on 2 Wisps out of 5. Sirius grabbing his 3rd tree. OMFQ is not going to be too far behind.
As this is Sirius here, heading into Molded Depths. Molded Depths can be a tricky area if you do not have either the ability Flash or the bow, because it's filled with these darkness sections, and if you spend too long in these darkness sections, Ori will just be killed. That's I think apparently you can also refresh it with grenade, as I'm watching now, the light source, because Sirius seems to be going through these sections just fine.
Light burst creates a bit of light. It's not as good at it as bow or the flash, which is the intended skill that you're supposed to use for this. But you can in fact use light burst and get through just fine. Though sometimes you do run into difficulty. Sirius there just took a death from the darkness encroaching on him. But over to the left, you'll actually see OMFQ is now doing what Sirius just did, and he's going to head over and take on his Qualok in the pools. That'll be a fun fight to watch. It's actually interesting to see that both our runners are getting their boss fights out of the way as soon as possible. Sirius showing off incredible variety of just ways of canceling, using grenade to cancel momentum, and he's actually going to head over here and fight the boss of Moldwood Depths, Mora. So if you do not like spiders, keep your eyes on the right screen, because it is time for Sirius to fight Giant Spider.
Yeah, I can't imagine that this will take too much time for Sirius, considering how quickly we dispatch Qualok.
Oh yeah, definitely not. Sirius is very, very good at this game.
On the right screen, actually, sorry, just want to mention this. OMFQ doing this really cool puzzle skip. There's a puzzle here. I think Sirius actually just did the puzzle manually. But you can actually just dash into spikes at a certain point and kill yourself, and the puzzle will just be finished.
Yeah.
And it's a cool way to kind of save time. It's a very strange trick. It's one of the weirdest tricks in the game, but it's very cool. So yeah, now you can see OMFQ is already through that section a little bit faster than Sirius did, because Sirius did the intended way.
Yep. that glitch, the intentional death that you want to take there is interesting. It's basically the checkpoint that you say that isn't ever intended to be used with your cutscene or with your character or without the puzzle filled. So if you respawn from that checkpoint, the game is just considers you to have the puzzle solved. But that's enough of that. Sirius is now in the phase 3 of the Mora fight. He completed the first phase without problem and also finished the pretty simple escape, and now he's in the dark phase. He's actually going to stay near these lanterns because if he gets too far away from them, he is just going to die to that darkness, but he is not going to have any problems with that, which is great because it looks like he is going to get this fight finished up as OMFQ starts the fight with Qualok. And yeah, there we go. OMFQ starting the Qualok fight, equipping a few different shards, running back and forth. There's actually a bug in the latest patch of this game where Qualok will not speed up in the chase sequence just because you are far away from him. So we actually saw both runners running back and forth, just sort of waiting around for him to catch up.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we see... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah. So just to explain that a little further, in most of the chase sequences, the game has a rubber band mechanic. It basically tries to put whatever is chasing you like a close distance, but not too close a distance. So like you're maybe allowed to make like one mistake, but you make 2 or more mistakes, you're probably gonna die. But for some reason, yeah, in the latest patch, Qualok just does not have this rubber band mechanic. So pretty much everyone who can do the chase efficiently just ends up leaving him like behind, and you have to wait like 5 to 10 seconds for him to catch up at the end.
Yep. The flip side of that is that if you have a skill set that is slow, the Qualok chase is unreasonably hard on this patch. It's actually something we're looking at fixing. The fight, however, OMFQ doing a very good job not taking any damage. You can't heal during the second half of that fight, so casual players especially casual players who came to Luma Pools first may have ended up getting pretty frustrated by this fight. I know I was. I came to Luma Pools right after you get access to these areas, and it can be actually a pretty tricky fight if you aren't familiar with the right ways of doing combat canceling. But yeah, OMFQ just makes it look very easy, takes apart that boss, and gets his 3rd Wisp.
Yeah, both runners, in fact, both of the Qualok and Mora are both very difficult when you first play the game casually. Both runners making the bosses look like they're super easy, and genuinely they are not. They are very difficult bosses, and to perform that well and just basically do them with absolutely no risk is very, very impressive.
Yep. All right, so this is, I think, a good time to check in on where our runners are. We just saw that OMFQ has 3 Wisps and 2 trees. Sirius is at 3 Wisps and 3 trees, but he is closer to the Memory of the Forest, which is that 4th, that Wisp and Bowers Reach, than I would say that OMFQ is to the Moldwood depths. But they're both basically doing the Wisps that they haven't done yet. And we're also seeing our runners make a beeline for Wisps at the expense of trees. And the reason they're doing that is because in this game mode, the best skill in the game, Launch, is guaranteed to be given at the 5th Wisp. So both our runners know that naturally. So what they're trying to do is get the Wisps as quickly as possible so that they can get access to Launch. And as soon as they get Launch, you'll see why. It's very, very good.
Yeah, basically the entire, only the last section of the game is kind of designed around having Launch. So it just somewhat, I wouldn't say, well, I guess it kind of trivializes in the sense that like it makes a lot of the pickups and a lot of the movement easy. Also, both of the runners can take advantage of Launch to do some cool stuff and basically really accelerate their ability to go through and get the rest of the trees. The trees are basically, there's a tree in almost every single area of the game, and some of the early sections of the game have several trees. So their ability to basically move through all these sections very, very quickly is gonna speed up in the long run.
Yep, it'll be great to have Launch, and we'll talk about Launch tech. Definitely, there's a sense in which getting Launch trivializes some of the earlier content, and indeed, the reason we actually put Launch on that 5th Wisp is because we want to have the players show off their ability to do movement without it. However, it is also the case that Light Burst does a fair bit of trivialization in as far as like what is and is not possible. These Light Burst zooms that these runners are doing are giving them incredible amounts of access to different areas here. OMFQ is taking a different and I would say overall slower route through the Moldwood Depths, he is perhaps not as confident as Sirius was in the skipping some of the darkness sections, and so we'll see him grabbing this little firefly and using that its light to proceed deeper into the dungeon. Meanwhile, Sirius is also opting not to go for that cutscene skip that we saw from.
He actually got it. He did go for it, and he got it.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so he
am
did
not actually.
Yeah, so OMFQ watched the 60-second cutscene at the top of Bowser's Reach, but Sirius managed to skip it. Look, yeah, it looks like it's a bit tricky with the current skill set because they don't have, without being able to bash off something, the runners don't have a great way to generate vertical height. Ideally, for that trick, you want to have a sentry to allow you to do a glitch called sentry jumping, which really does make that skip a lot more consistent. But it looks like he just managed to get over the top of the cutscene trigger.
Yeah. Meanwhile, OMFQ is having trouble with a darkness skip here. His grenade pulls are not quite getting him the light he needs. And so he's having a little trouble making it to this enemy, which is really unfortunate because this is costing him time he does not want to be losing.
Mm-hmm.
And ooh, if he ends up going to grab the... that's going to be difficult, but let's keep your eyes on Sirius. Over on the left, he is moving and is just finished with that Bars Reach escape. There aren't really that many tricky sections in that escape, but it's definitely someplace where you can lose time if you're not being careful for it. But yeah, Sirius is our first runner to get all 4 wisps, or get the 4 wisps. You can do most of the wisps in any order, but the heart you have to do last. So Sirius is now capable of making his way through this area. And we are back in Windswept Waste, and he is going to run away from a sandworm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as you see, OMFQ unfortunately is still struggling a little bit here. Kind of just testament to Sirius. Sirius made it through this section very quickly, which is just extremely impressive. It's actually these, timing the grenade to actually give yourself your light back without the darkness encroaching on you and eventually killing you. It is very tough. Yeah, so props to Sirius for making that look easy, and OMFQ showing that actually it's very, very, very difficult to do that consistently.
Yeah, absolutely. OMFQ looking at the map, trying to decide whether or not he still thinks he wants to be doing this. Oh, it looks like OMFQ is deciding that actually what he wants to do here is maybe get a reset on the pickup up there to get a bit more light. This is just honestly a very difficult set of movement without any of the skills that provide extra light. I'm curious to see what ends up happening, but over on the left we see Sirius is approaching the sandworm escape. Because we have cutscene skips, he's just going to walk over here, and it's going to look really silly because right away he's got this giant worm chasing after him, and he is running away very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Let's see if he goes. Okay,
this chase is...
Nice. Yeah, so the back of the back, I think it's about like 25% of the worm just doesn't have a hitbox. Generally, if the worm touches you, you should die, but for some reason the end of the worm doesn't. So when it spins around you, you can actually like go and get inside of its model at the back. It's pretty funny. Sirius showing that off a little bit. Already finishing escape, and it's finally picked up launch.
Yeah, and that is just excellent movement. The sandworm escape is just very much a show off how good are you at this burrow skill, which is, you're supposed to be using all the way through Windswept Waste, and can be kind of finicky to control, but Sirius, a pro at the Will-O-Wisp randomizer, and gets his way to launch. Meanwhile, OMFQ did finally get that trick. He reset the light on, or his light box on a Spirit Light Orb, and he is now on to Mora, which this does put him behind Sirius by a fair bit, but he is going to be moving forward with a vengeance. We will see how he picks up, and Sirius is going to be starting his tree collection now.
Mm-hmm. So would you say that Sirius is in go mode at this point? Like he's just rushing to finish the game now?
Yeah, Sirius is in what we would in Ori 1 call lumberjack mode, where he is going from tree to tree, chopping them all down. Ori does not actually chop down trees. Little note, he's absorbing their essence. And ooh, OMFQ takes a death in this escape phase. It's okay, he just had a checkpoint, but that is 15 to 20 seconds he is going to be sad about having lost. But yeah, there aren't really any skills that they need to finish the game that they don't have. The big ones are Burrow. You need Burrow to deal with one of the Willow Hearts, and I guess you need they have access to all the areas they need to have access to, so it is just really not going to be an issue for either of these runners to finish the game with their current skill sets.
Maybe it would be good to talk about why launch is so good now that Sirius has launch, like what launch is and any of the text around it.
Yeah, so launch is a skill that you can use in midair that will basically, the description of launch is turns Ori into a projectile, and you see Sirius moving it, using it to just basically move very quickly in any direction. Launch also resets all your double jumps, resets your aerial dash, and you can do the same kind of momentum canceling that we saw, that we've been seeing with grenade with launch as well. And we will see that with a technique called a launch swap coming up pretty soon in a more open area, probably. But for now, Sirius is just heading in through Inkwater Marsh. This is the first area of the game. Inkwater Marsh also has 5 skill trees in it, so we've already seen Sirius grab the regeneration tree, and now he's going to head over here towards Midnight Burrows. He's not actually going to enter Midnight Burrows, but he's going to do the little bash puzzle outside of it, and he's going to use that to get access to another skill tree. We see him skipping all these pickups because he is in a full go mode and just does not need any of these items at all.
You think Sirius will go through Midnight Burrows to get access to the double jump tree that way, or will he simply go back through the teleport perhaps? Looks like he's doing
I think it probably makes more sense, yeah. I think he will head through burrows to the double jump tree because that is just a faster path.
Especially with launch, like Midnight Burrows can be a little bit tricky to go fast in if you don't have a way to generate vertical momentum, because it's literally like playing the game Portal but in 2D. But with launch we can just kind of go anywhere we want, so you can just speed through it, and then there's like a secret wall that can be broken that gives you access to the double jump tree.
Yep. Sirius actually showing off something really cool just now. So the puzzle into there's a puzzle you need to do in Midnight Burrow, or to get access to Midnight Burrows, and then you have to do it again backwards to get access to the tree. Sirius did it backwards first, and then switched, did the first half of it did the first half of it on the way to the tree, and the second half on the way out. There's no timer on it. It's just the only thing that changes where you're at the puzzle is whether or not you do a bash off of one of the lanterns and then quitting and reloading. So Sirius gets the tree in between, saving just a few frames of extra movement. And now he has made his way all the way through Midnight Burrows, doing some of these launch swaps. You'll see him launch and then unequip launch, and when you do that, you just keep your momentum from launch, and gives you a massive increase of speed. You also get your launch back whenever you touch the wall, whenever you touch the floor, so you'll see Sirius doing a lot of that, and he is over here to his 7th tree, which is the first tree you get in the main game, the sword tree.
Yeah, the other way that you can refresh launch actually is by hitting an enemy with sword, which I don't know if we will see that or not, but you may potentially see that.
Yeah, it can be really good for keeping yourself in the air. Meanwhile, OMFQ just found his launch, so he is going to start his tree cleanup too. And Sirius is going to head over here and buy some extra keystones before heading into Luma Pools to get the water dash tree.
Yeah, so we're basically just like seeing like kind of like both players trying to just, I guess, essentially find the most efficient way to collect the rest of the trees.
Yep.
So Sirius is at 8 of 14, getting pretty close. OMFQ definitely has some catching up to do. OMFQ only at 4. So we'll have to see how OMFQ can maybe plan his route to basically just be as fast as possible to try and get all of these trees.
Yeah, I definitely think Sirius is, this is at this point, I would say, Sirius's race to lose. That time that OMFQ lost in Inkwater Marsh is definitely going to be hurting him. However, OMFQ does have this Wellspring teleporter that I don't remember whether or not Sirius got, and that is going to give him some extra time on his way to the grapple tree.
Yeah, the grapple... Sorry, go on.
Oh yeah, the grapple tree is in a bit of a weird place. You need to do, you need to like open the first door in Wellspring and then make your way back up a little bit. It's not going to be too difficult for either of these runners, but it is just like a little bit of a time sink. Meanwhile, we've got Sirius on the left is grabbing his 9th tree, is going to be the bow tree, and he is going to head from there into Qualix Hollow, the left side of it, on the other side of that teleporter we saw both our runners using, and then he's going to head all the way down to the bottom and grab the dash tree.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point to know. Oh yeah, actually, this is a cool trick on the left side of the Sirius. Sirius is doing a dash swim. Basically, even though we have technically cleaned the water, this section of water is always poisoned. But with enough health and an understanding of the area there, you can essentially just swim through the poison water and make it through to the other side. The casual way would involve pulling some levers to drop down the water and then go into another section and pulling another lever to drop the water even more to get access to the dash tree. But yeah, the second set of water doesn't spawn if you don't pull the first lever, so we can actually just go through the first set of water and get through and get to the dash tree that way without having to spend all the extra time pulling levers and go into these extra sections.
Yep, avoiding draining that water saves a fair bit of time, and that is going to be time that our runners are going to be happy to save. I really expect OMFQ to basically do the same thing. I believe that trick was in the speedrun route at some point, and both of our runners are accomplished speedrunners of this game, even though we are here at the randomizer.
Yeah, I 100% expect OMFQ to do that. I actually saw Sirius there doing kind of, you can launch into the ceiling in certain spots and certain angles, and they'll give you a ton of horizontal momentum that you can then maintain with glide, which is a really cool trick. Another one of the applications of launch that really allows you to kind of speed up getting around the map.
Yeah, both our runners are incredibly adept at using these skills to go very fast. You just saw OMFQ doing one of those launch glides along the floor, and both our runners are just very good at getting launch reset very quickly. And here we see Sirius enter OMFQ entering Inkwater Marsh, I think the same way that Sirius did, just backwards through Luma Pools. And because he doesn't have the sword tree yet, Marsh is in that rainy state that it is in during the prologue. For casual players of this game may remember.
So Sirius is at 11 out of 14 trees now. I'm trying to think which trees he has left. Teleported back down to Bowers, even though he just got the Light Burst tree, which is the tree in Bowers Reach. Not entirely sure.
Yeah, I'm a little confused by this teleport as well. I know the trees that he does not have yet include the launch tree. I think he is also looking for Flash, Grapple, and Launch are the three trees he doesn't have.
Okay, I guess he doesn't have the Wellspring teleport, so he's actually going to take the long way.
Yeah.
Which will give OMFQ a little bit more time to catch up.
Yeah, we actually just saw something really funny from Sirius. He did one of those launch glides along the ceiling for momentum, but he had to go back and do it again because he moved into the area too fast, and he got his momentum killed by the game pausing and loading.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are in fact faster than our computers here, and when that happens, you just sort of got to do the movement trick again, because if the game hasn't loaded the area yet, it can't let you in.
Yeah, the game is pretty interesting. So the game is like there's no load screens or anything. It's basically like continuous. You could go from the very left side of the map to the very right without ever seeing a load screen. But it does basically load each section in. They're basically made up of like squares, and it like loads them in. And yeah, speedrunners can be fast enough to beat the load, and then Ori will just basically hit like an invisible wall because the place you're trying to go doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, it looks very funny when you see it. All right, so yeah, we've got a 3-tree lead here for Sirius, and that is pretty significant. Now, not all trees are created equal. The trees that Sirius has left are two of the slowest in the game, but OMFQ has to grab a bunch more, and he still also has to grab some pretty slow trees, which is going to be really rough. I think, again, this is just Sirius's race to lose. Movement in the endgame dungeon, Willow's End, is going to come into play, as will RNG on the final boss, but honestly, OMFQ is just in a rough spot here, which is understandable. Sirius is disgustingly good at this game. Honestly, both these runners are. They are both on track to finish this seed in under an hour, which is absurd, honestly.
Yes, yeah, under an hour for randomizer is just incredibly impressive. Like, I would say that like there are very few runners currently who would be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I guess maybe a little bit more unfortunate things for OMFQ is Willow Tree is a very challenging area. But with some of the tricks available, some of the more difficult trees willow hats that you have to try become quite trivial. And with the amount of health that both of the runners have, like a lot of the mistakes in Willow are punishable by dying. When you have like 20 health or something, like it's actually very difficult to die because you can take a lot of hits.
Well, I mean, so our runners have like 16 health, which means they can get hit 4 times in Willow. Everything in Willow does like between 30 and 40 damage. It is actually a pretty dangerous area. All right, so we are now seeing Sirius approach Willow. He's got to do the launch tree. He just got his 13th tree in where was that? Moldwood Depths, and now he's going to be doing this little elevator fight, which is a sort of this auto scroller where you have to have enemies fall on you once at a time, and Sirius is going to make very quick work of these using sword and launch to reset his sword. Launch also does damage, by the way, you know, in addition to being the best movement skill in the game, really ridiculous. It does like 8 damage, really nice.
Yeah, it also breaks, I think he's using grenade to break the shield, but you can also just launch into enemies to break their shields, which makes killing them with sword a lot easier because they'll basically block damage from that direction entirely if they have their shield up.
Yeah, the shields are really obnoxious. They like block your damage and they do this annoying knockback animation. It's just really annoying. So Sirius making very efficient work of them. OMFQ taking the same route that we saw from Sirius earlier in terms of just going backwards through this Inkwater Marsh starting area. He's got the double jump tree and now he's on his way to the sword tree. But meanwhile, Sirius is almost all the way to the the launch tree. And once he's got that, all he has to do is finish the final dungeon, and there we see it. 5 out of 5 trees, 5 out of 5 wisps, 14 out of 14 trees, and with only under 120 pickups checked, which is honestly absurdly low for this kind of run, we're going to see Sirius head into Willow's End.
Is he gonna recover from this? Did a really nice launch hop there to potentially go right up to the top. Ooh, just missing that laser and actually getting in there. So yeah, so Sirius has this final dungeon to do. Inside this dungeon, we have to destroy 8 separate creep hearts, I think they're called, to give us access to Shriek, which is the final boss.
Yeah, and Shriek, Shriek herself is a very challenging final boss. Not for these runners in terms of like just completion, but getting Shriek, killing Shriek quickly there's some RNG involved, and there's just a lot of skill. And oh wow, Sirius is going through this area with only 1 health, which is, you know, pretty scary. We'll probably see him take a death here sooner or later, but so far he's making very good time. Unfortunately, lacking some of the skills needed to skip some of these things, and wow, goes right through that laser in a way I just learned was possible.
Yeah, definitely. He actually did. Unfortunately, there's quite a few health pickups in the way, and he's been picking them up. He's up to a pretty healthy level now. As we see, OMFQ now is getting towards picking up the launch tree, going towards this slow elevator fight. So I would kind of estimate at this point OMFQ is probably about 2 minutes behind, based on where he is.
He actually cleared those Inkwater trees very quickly. He's caught up a lot sooner than I would have naively expected. He's I think he will enter Willow before Sirius finishes, but yeah, he's got Sirius does have a pretty big lead to work here with, but it is not, I would say, fully outside the margin of safety. I mentioned that there is a decent amount of RNG that can happen in the Willow fight, and one of the things that can happen is the Shriek fight, and one of the things that can happen there is there's just this terrible attack that takes an absurd amount of time, during which the final boss is completely untargetable. So if either of our runners end up running into that, that'll be really rough for both of them, or that'll be really rough. And we have actually seen that decide races before. The GDQ, what category was that? There was
a race is what you're talking about, right? Between Hetfield, 90, and Skybilz.
Yeah, that race. On the last Awesome Games Done Quick Online, we actually saw Scarfield clutch out a win due to honestly incrediable play on their part, but also an unlucky cycle on that boss from. Oh, this is actually a really neat trick. I'm gonna interrupt myself real quick. Sirius. Oh no! Sirius is taking a shot from this enemy and skipping a large puzzle, or going for a long puzzle skip here. However, he just missed the shot itself, so he's going to have to do it again. So he's basically bashing a projectile and then launching right after it, and this time he takes more careful aim and is going to go ahead and be able to destroy that heart without having to do any of the puzzle for it.
That saves the estimate amount of time. Yeah, the thing about the Shriek fight is the more damage you can do. So there is RNG, but you can really limit the amount of RNG by just being very efficient in terms of damaging Shriek during the attacks where you can hurt her. Yeah, so going back to like the main quest order specifically, you use a bow setup, and you can defeat Shriek in 2 attacks where you can hit her. And if you can do that, then you can mitigate a lot of the RNG. I don't think the runners have the same level of damage as having a bow with a couple of shots set up. So they're going to be subject to more RNG than you, and they're going to have to deal with that the best way that they can.
Yeah, neither of our runners have bow at all, and they're also missing some of the other like nice things to have for damage-wise. I don't think either of them has Reckless. I think I see Sirius dealing 5 damage with his sword, so I think he has either 1 Ancestral Light or... Oh no, Sirius actually bought... this was actually a neat purchase that Sirius grabbed earlier, and it isn't that helpful now, but he got one of the damage increase shards. It's the one that gives you more damage as you get more Spirit Light, and he's currently at 400, so that's not actually super useful, but it is going to give him a bit of bonus damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see both our runners...
Sorry,
go ahead. Alright, I was going to say, we see both our runners making quick work of the Willow Hearts. Sirius just finished the topmost one, which means he has the mini-boss heart, which is over here to the left, and then the 2 hearts below here, and so Sirius really only has 3 more. OMFQ, I think, has 5 left, and oh wow, OMFQ at a fractional amount of health here. He's actually... Oh, I thought he was going to go for the save to heal, but he is not. And oh, Sirius showing off a pretty obscure, neat little thing. There's a shard in this game that does double, like makes all your damage doubled against flying enemies. It doesn't work on the final boss, despite the final boss being an owl. It does work on this boss, and so Sirius is absolutely destroying this thing, dealing absurd amounts of damage to it. Already at less than half health, he's going to throw some more projectiles and just going to be able to burn it down real quickly. Boss utterly annihilated.
So I think Sirius only has 2 hearts left to go now. I believe
He's got the
kind of speedrun order.
Yeah. Basically, it is fastest to do Willow typically in a counterclockwise order from where you start in. It's a bit more complicated than that, but it's basically counterclockwise. And so Sirius is just going to have these 2 hearts left. He's got the Spinning Laser Heart and the Glide Room Heart, and neither of them are going to pose much of a challenge at all, though he is going to take some damage boosts just moving through here as quickly as possible. And this area is really just all about cycles. It's where you are on the laser cycle and just whether or not you can damage boost through, because a lot of these lasers you can just tank, but Sirius is on only 1 health. I would be unsurprised to see him either heal up or take an intentional death right past a cutscene, just because when you respawn with a fixed amount of health, and that can be really handy. Yeah, we'll see him do some damage boosting through here. Wow, gets through that with only 1 damage boost. That's actually rather impressive. And he's just gonna be able to get through this. And I'm curious to see if he goes for the 1 cycle here. Yeah, I think he's got it. And that is Sirius completing the last Willow Heart. Gosh, incredible pace. Really just incredible execution all the way through Willow. I don't think I've seen him die once.
Yeah, and now he's basically coming up to the Shriek fight now. So there's not too much left. So the first Shriek has basically 4 phases. The first phase is Shriek has deterministic attacks based on where you position. So the runners are gonna basically try and be in certain spots that should allow them to complete the phase without Shriek flying up. Because when Shriek flies off, she starts to do some potentially, again, nasty RNG based attacks where you won't be able to hit her. And we see Sirius basically just staying completely airborne for this entire section, and has already finished the first phase. On the other side, OMFQ has just taken out Will. I don't even know what the name of that boss is called. The mini boss on hard 6. So OMFQ down to 2 hearts remaining.
Yeah, definitely. But he's gonna have his work cut out for him. With Sirius finishing that first phase, he's on to the escape phase next. This is pretty straightforward. There's actually a few points you can damage Shriek during this phase, and some of the speedrun routes actually go for a quick kill during this. I don't think we're going to see OMFQ going for the like mid-escape spear shot. Oh, actually no, he did just get one of those shots in. and we'll see him doing potentially a couple more, as well as making incredible use of these launch swaps to just get through this as quickly as possible. He's low on energy, however, which means he's not going to be able to attack that many more times. He is almost through this escape and onto the third phase.
Yeah, and he only has 5 health right now. And yeah, that's like 2 or 3 attacks from Shriek. Oh, and getting the bad attack. So this attack here, Shriek just sits in the background and spends probably like 15 seconds in the background just hanging out, throwing some feathers at you. So yeah, he can't do any damage right now. But then it gets a really nice attack. This is a laser attack, which is probably the longest time, or the attack that gives you the most opportunity to damage. We see Sirius just absolutely wailing on her, getting her down to pretty low, probably 1 or 2 more attacks. And he will be onto the final phase.
Yeah, that's very nice for Sirius. It really is not looking like OMFQ is going to have a chance to catch up, but we are going to get a very close finish from these runners, which is really incredible given the way the seed's gone.
Definitely. Okay, yeah, so Sirius now is onto the final phase. He'll probably take an intentional death here, 1 Shriek. No, he's not. He's just going to go for it. I guess he doesn't have any need to gain energy. Oftentimes in the speedrun, once phase 4 starts, people take an intentional death so that the energy crystal respawns and they can gain full energy, but because he's just mainly using Salt, there's no real reason to do that. Salt is free.
Yeah. So just got to wait out the Shriek destroying the arena, and then Shriek will do this series of 4 swoops, and it's completely deterministic. And after that, she's going to pop up, and Sirius is going to wail on her.
That's it. Let's see if he can get the 1 cycle. I'm not sure if he'll be able to do it with the sword. Might be able to get it. It's pretty close. Ooh, just missed it. So there'll be a couple more swoops, and then she'll go back to the same spot and Sirius can finish her off.
Yeah, and it'll be time on the last hit for Shriek, so get ready for that.
Yeah, as you see OMFQ.
Yeah, that is time for Sirius.
Sirius, yeah. OMFQ getting towards the 3rd phase, but GG to Sirius for taking this one. That was a really incredible race from him and from both of them, to be honest.
Yeah, and we see OMFQ showing off different ways to damage, a couple ways to damage Shriek during the escape, but yeah, incredible finish and play throughout by Sirius. Richard, you'll have to take that up with leaderboard mods. We at the randomizer community are not responsible for when other people call time, but yeah, in the randomizer, in the main game, there's like a little epilogue section after you kill Shriek. We're not really about that. We're not really here for the plot in the randomizer community. So you know, the game ends when you defeat the final boss. That's just how it goes. And we actually recently figured out how to just warp Ori directly to the credits, so we don't even have to worry about spoiling the ending cutscene for any of our viewers who haven't played it.
Yeah, that cutscene takes a good, like, it's like 3 minutes and like 15 seconds or something. Added on to every run because of it.
There's a little bit of RNG in it too. I've seen like people lose like a PB to like a bad crawl split, and like there's no actual gameplay involved, so it's really galling.
Let's see. Yeah, I think the load time is a bit variable for that.
Yep. Anyways, here we see OMFQ. We'll see if he gets a 1 cycle. He actually, gets it, and time. That is going to be time for both our runners. To both of them. I think we're going to get them in here for an interview. Real quick, can we drag them in here real quick? Oh, actually, we have them here now. GG, Sirius, OMFQ.
GG's, guys.
Jeez, thank you.
Alright, so let's start with Sirius. How are you feeling?
Oh, pretty good. That was a pretty fast seed, but also interesting because of the moves that it gave, specifically because I did not find Sentry. I assume we both didn't find Sentry, not sure where it would have been.
Yeah, neither of you found Sentry. Where was it, by the way?
I don't think either of us know.
Oh, okay. I thought you had looked at the spoiler, and wow, both of you getting a sub-hour completion on this seed. Really well done. OMFQ, how are you feeling? How do you feel like that seed went? Yeah, definitely. Thanks to Fupiu, our community member who went through and vetted this seed. And yeah, this was actually a really close race with you two were pretty close in terms of your collection, your Wisp collection, though you did it in a different order. I would say the big thing that happened to set OMFQ behind was some troubles in Moldwood Depths. Yeah.
That
lightless
was another
approach.
interesting facet of the seed. The lack of good light sources.
Yeah. OMFQ, is movement through that area without any light at all something you practiced before, or is that completely new to you? Yeah. Yeah, it was a good bit of improvisation. I think a lot of still very skilled, but not quite on the caliber of U2 runners might have seen that and said, and left and come back with, or tried to come back with either flash or bow. One of those skills that actually get you through the area. But that would have been a huge time loss. And in fact, neither of you ended up finding either of those skills.
So yeah, that was a great seed to show the randomizer off. It was a lot of fun, especially to play around with grenade. It has some of the best tech of the game, for sure.
Yeah, it was really awesome that bash, grenade, and grapple were all early. We got to explain those bash zooms that you guys were doing, just zooming across the entire map, windswept wastes. Really having that in Silent Woods is just hilarious to watch.
So, before we go to our break here, and yes, there will be more Ori, y'all. If you thought this was fantastic, we have a lot more planned tonight, and then we also have another show after Random Number Generation tonight. I do want to say to the Ori and the Will of the Wisps randomizer community here, I'm looking at the time. I see 56:16. I'm looking at that little estimate in the corner that says 1:30. I cannot believe the fact that y'all got sub-hour. That's ridiculous.
That's very rare, yes.
Yeah, absolutely a jet seed here, and honestly, incredibly well executed by both these runners. I do not think I could have gotten I absolutely couldn't have got a sub hour. I'm not sure I would have made it underestimate with the seed. It really depends on a lot of where the other things are, but these are really just the two best players of the Ori and the Will-O-Wisp randomizer here, showing off their skills.
So, !RNG, please be sure to give all of the runners and commentators a follow. I want to give a shout out to the commentary as well. It was really good from start to finish. I didn't want to intervene. It was never ending. It was a lot of action involved, a lot of good explanation involved. So again, please follow the commentators as well too. Give the commentators some love. All right, so we're going to be heading into the break, y'all. As a quick reminder, because folks in chat are talking about, remember that SGDQ 2021 Online is this upcoming weekend. It's already here. Come see a week-long marathon benefiting Doctors Without Borders and see the event and donate here on the Games Done Quick channel starting July 4th through the 11th. Go to GamesDoneQuick.com for more information about SGDQ as well as our hotfix shows. So everyone, get up, stretch, relax, get some water, hydrate, and we'll be right back with Random Number Generation. Welcome back to Random Number Generation. We are here with Ori and the Will of the Wisp randomizer crew. And for this next run, we're going to be doing a showcase run with Aiko. Aiko, would you like to talk about this a little bit? Also, we have OMFQ back. We want to revisit that interview since our audio was a little borked during that. So take it away, y'all.
Yeah, okay. So first off, we're going to talk a little bit about the race we just did. OMFQ came in second. It was very close. If you missed that, be sure and go back and check those VODs. OMFQ, how did you feel about how that race went?
That race went pretty well, honestly. The seed started out with a lot of speed skills, with a lot of fun ability, movement abilities, and overall a really fun and mostly fast seed.
Yeah, it was very fast seed. We saw you run into a little bit of trouble in that Moldwood Depths area, so I just wanted to ask, was that something was that movement you'd done before, or was that improv? That some improv?
I don't think I've ever had to go through that section with the skill set that I had today. I did practice the movement in that area though, and it took me some time to come up with the strat that I ended up using. But yeah, well, can't be mad. It was a good
Yeah,
race.
I mean, worked very well, and you did very well in that race, getting within 2 minutes of Sirius. Very impressive. All right, well, thank you so much for that run. We're going to move on now to a bit of a little bit of a dev showcase. I am here. We actually have 3 out of the 4 who I would describe as like main devs here as part of the show. Sirius earlier is the built the seed generator and wrote an absurd portion of the logic. And then we have me and Zemsis here, and together that's 3 out of the 4 main devs. Zem is going to be joining me on commentary. Say hi, Zem.
Hello, yes, I am also one of the devs. I did some of the early discovering, breaking the game apart, and write a lot of the netcode for co-op features, and I'm gonna be joining Eiko here for this little showcase on comms.
Yep. All right, so I've actually already started the game, but Richard, I will give you a countdown. Start us off in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so this title says Dev Showcase, and we wanted to show off a lot of things. One of the things I wanted to show off really early on, though, is some of the features we have available for new players. So I'm going to show off this map. So this is the base in-game map. We start off by revealing everything, so you can see where all the pickups are. This game has an absurd number of pickups. With these settings, there are, count them, 375 pickups. That's so many pickups. You look at this map, and it's just overwhelming. Where are you supposed to go? What are you supposed to do? What's in logic? Well, here's the answer. This is the in-logic filter of the map. This is something we added to the game, and this shows you what pickups are in logic at any given time. So to start with, we can see that I have this right next to me, this pickup. This is in logic. We've got this shard down here, this little pickup over here, and a few other things in this area. I'm gonna grab this, and all right, that's clean water. Clean water is going to open up a few more pickups. So we can see here that I've now, this pickup here, which is underwater, and this pickup here are now in logic. So we can see them, and I'm going to do that. So one of the things I'm going to want to do in this early game is show how you can use this filter to just learn how to play the randomizer. That pickup I actually just got is something I get by habit. It's out of logic. I was actually going to try to avoid getting out of logic pickups just to show this, but that one is hard to avoid. But here we're grabbing this shard, which is something we saw in logic, and now we're going to jump in the water. And something you may have noticed when we saw Sirius and OMFQ doing it is that unlike the base game where if you're playing on the keyboard and mouse you have to control swimming via your arrow keys, in the Ori and the Will of the Wisp randomizer we have augmented how the inputs work, so you can actually just make Ori swim around and follow your mouse, which is great because keyboard swimming is both frustrating and harder on the hand. So yeah, we can see.
Yes, thanks a lot for our last dev that's not currently here, sadly, Bad Wolf, who kind of did a lot of the actual changes to how the game works.
Yeah,
we do have a bit more than just control changes coming up. I will mention those when they come up.
Yeah. Wolf actually did really the majority of the work for that dev filter that we saw earlier, as well as a bunch of other stuff. He has been instrumental for breaking this game wide open and building a lot of the features that you see, including one that we're going to get to showcase soon, and one of his personal favorites. But we will not spoil that. Now, this is something I'm going to run over here, talk to this map maker. He sells, oh, I actually don't have enough. We recently changed how much this map costs. What we did in this game was, one of the things we realized really quickly was that this game has almost 400 pickups. That's just too many. Without to have a game that is reasonable to play without some kind of hint system. So we added, we actually have a couple different hint systems, but we added one that works by, uses the game's built-in map maker. So when you buy items from the map maker, he will give you hints on how many key items are in an area. Items like skills, and really it's actually just skills. You can also configure it so that he sells teleporters hints too. But with these settings, it is just going to be skill hints. So once I get 200 Spirit Light, I'm going to head back there and find out how many skills are in Inkwater Marsh, which is great.
Yeah, so we figured out pretty early that we want something on those map sets. One option was, of course, to just put in yet another check on those, but we already have so many of those, and the areas are so huge that we knew we needed at least a bit of direction when you play through the randomizer. So in this case we went with the area hints, and they are a nice thing for all the money you're getting. and do make for some interesting routing decisions. So we kept them.
All right, so it is actually technically possible to skip that fight room with these skill sets, but I didn't really go for it. It's tricky and it only saves a little bit of time. So we're going to do a few more things in this area. Let's popping that filter back open, we can see that with the dash skill that I just got, a few more pickups in this area are now in logic, but not that many more. I'm just going to grab this keystone that the game is telling me I can grab. And I'm actually going to divert from logic a little bit because this is a fun pickup to grab. You can use sword, this little up slash here to get a little bit of extra height, and it is really useful to do that. So you need doing that in a few different places. It's like half of a double jump is how I would describe that movement.
Sword is definitely a very interesting skill, and it's the first real combat ability you get in the game, but the really big uses are actually mostly movement. It is a lot of air stalling and a lot of combinations with other skills that just let you go faster and faster.
Yep. All right, so we're going to talk to this friend, and he is going to give us a keystone. Except it's not actually a keystone. In the vanilla game, he gives you a keystone, but here it's just a quest turn-in, and quest turn-ins are items according to the randomizer. So he is going to give us 41 Spirit Light, which is great because that means I can head back up here and buy a map from the map seller, and we will get to see how many key items are in this area.
So with this being the first area, and depending on the difficulty of the logic, we can be expected to actually see quite a few skills in this area. Let's see how many we are actually getting. Yes,
Oh
11
my God,
skills a marsh. So this is a stacked marsh.
Yeah, there are around 20 skills in the game, so this seed is a loaded marsh. We've got about half of them here. Okay, water dash is really funny to find here because mostly it's a late game skill that you don't use that much of, but or that you can't use that much early, but there's like little water here, and you can just sort of use water dash to get out of this area and head over here to just pick up here, and we're going to see something we didn't see earlier, which is spooky wolf. This is actually one of the first changes that Bad Wolf made when he joined the team. He's like, well, I really dislike that the way you guys have modded the game has made it so that you can never fight this boss, and that was true. And then we mocked this. I have dash, which means I can get through this way faster than I'm supposed to. We'll see me teleport back here. Yeah, all right. And then we get torch, and we're just gonna use torch and bully a wolf before he bullies us back. Okay, come on. The torch upswing has no real cooldown, so you can just sort of spam it, and you get this guy to half health, and he's just like, no, I would like an easier dinner, and he leaves you alone.
So, speaking of which, we didn't see Howl in the last run, and we're also playing on a different logic setting than last time. Wanna talk a bit about the amount of customization you can do when rolling your seeds?
Oh yeah, honestly, it's hard to know where to begin. This the Ori and the Will-O-Wisp randomizer is a lot more customizable than the already pretty customizable Ori and the Blind Forest randomizer. We have a bunch of different game modes. We've got 2 main logic modes with a bunch of smaller logic settings, and we are working on adding some more higher difficulties right now. We've got earlier you saw the our runners playing the all trees and all wisps goal modes. We have more of those, including bingo, and unlike a lot of other bingo games, we actually have auto tracking, which is possible through the incredible work of Zemsys here. But we also have how would you describe headers?
So, one usual way to change games is a modding system, right? You mod the game and you add features and so on. We thought it would be really good if our own seed system had its own modding system, so you can mod the randomizer mod on a seed by seed basis, and that got a bit out of hand. You can, with the pure seed files, you can do math, you can do logic, you can have a randomizer within the randomizer, and that allows for writing game modes and small mods entirely within the seed files. We have an open world mode that is just an addition to the seed file. We have ways to split launch into fragments, so you don't actually get all your movement stolen by one lucky find, and so on and so on. There are some. The best part about this is you don't need any programming experience for it, as some of our community members have proven over and over. So the amount of customization you can do here is very high.
Yeah, it's definitely not gotten at all out of hand. We have created some really cool things, and a lot of our community members have just stepped up and made a bunch of really cool different just sort of different ways to play the game in different settings. And it's been a really incredible collaborative project, just between us primary devs and the rest of the community, just building entirely new game modes. Been really cool stuff. All right.
Yeah, one of those headers that you actually saw in the last seed was there was a shop that sold an unlimited amount of keystones at ever increasing prices. That is one of those headers that's called the Black Market Keystone header, and it does exactly that.
Yeah, it basically makes it. That's actually one of the default things that are added to the seed generator by default, and the reason it's there is because we do not. We want to make it possible. Impossible to just basically get stuck and lose all your keystones. I'm going to do this little fight room here because it gives me better access to a little pickup afterwards. There's some tricky movement that is possible to do outside of this, but it requires some precise movement that I'm not very good at. I spend a lot more of my time modding this game than playing it, unfortunately, so here too. Ooh, Bash. Bash is a great find. Very happy to have that. Very useful skill.
Very nice find. So seeing in the seed, where do you plan on going next with all your skills? Wanna open the map and take a look?
All right, so we've got a few options. We actually have a decent number of options. There are 3 pickups here that I could clean up, but what I'm actually going to do is teleport back to spawn and head left. Grab a few different pickups.
And just before this teleport, you may have seen a flower and wondered, wait, that's not supposed to be here. Yeah, we also added this particular flower to the game just to avoid soft locks when coming from Midnight Burrows.
Yep. Another beautiful addition that we would not have been able to do at all without Wolf. Just showing off more of this little mouse swimming. It is so nice to have this. Every time I go back and play Ori and the Blind Forest, it is just so sad to have to swim with my keyboard. This is Water Dash. Water Dash just lets you sort of dash around in water. It's really nice to have. All right, so we're gonna head up here. This is a neat little jump that this entire area over to the right is just not at all necessary. I am messing this up. This is embarrassing. Isam, you want to do some commentary to distract people?
Oh yes, so this is actually a super precise and difficult trick, and Eiko nails it first try.
Yeah, okay.
Where you can skip a whole section on the right there. Finding the burrow skill, which is one of those required skills to finish, so that definitely paid off. And we did not see any time loss at all during that time.
We have mouse control of burrow, which is sort of what I'm showing here. Actually, burrow, unlike swimming, you just sort of keep moving all the time. You actually can't stop burrowing. So if I leave my mouse in place, Ori is just going to do these weird circles. And I'm just going to head down here real quick, grab this pickup here, and ooh, regenerate. Regenerate is a very nice thing to have. It's even better. I'm not very good at doing the like that. It's dash. That's that zoom technique that we saw OMFQ and Sirius being very good at earlier. I'm all right at it. Not the greatest. I'm currently in one of the very few areas of the game where you can't do teleport, so I had to move a little bit. And I'm gonna teleport back to spawn again and head towards the right area. We're going to see a bunch of new things.
Yeah, the map teleport was kinda a blessing for us when we started developing this. In Ori 1 Rendo, there is no way to just go back to a teleporter or to spawn from wherever you are. So there was the need to kinda implement an own feature to mimic that. In this game, we could just unlock this from the start and you can teleport back, and that means you won't get stuck, and we don't have to deal with that when developing the logic for this randomizer.
Yep. Those guys really feel like you should be able to use them to blow up other enemies, but that does not actually seem to be very effective. I'm going to heal up here real quick. I'm not actually going to talk to this guy. He sells weapon upgrades, and I don't have any weapons that are upgradable at the moment, so we'll come back to him later. All right, so we're going to head down through here, and there are a couple pickups I can check along. Ooh, that is an upgradable weapon. I will head back. Hammer is actually a really neat weapon in a lot of ways. It does these like big swoops, and hopefully I will get one of the several skills that interacts well with it. We can show off some cool stuff. Hammer also is going to unlock a few new things on the in-logic filter. It unlocks this down here, this over here, and that fight room that I am not going to do. It is slow. You can also hammer into these like little bounce pads, and you will bounce up higher than you would normally, which is... And... Ow, my bone!
And for those of you who know the first game better, Hammer is very similar to Stomp when used downwards with all of its caveats. When you sideways, it has a few different properties, but you can basically think of it as a slower weapon with a Stomp effect.
Yeah, basically. I'm going to... Oh wait, I have Bash. I forgot I have Bash. Okay, so we're going to... Dash retains its Ori 1 property of being usable to reset your hitbox, or reset your iframes after taking damage, which is great if you messed up and need to take a quick death, like I did there. Bash remains a very good movement ability. Okay, so we're going to do this, and now this is one of those one of the fight rooms in the main game. In the vanilla game, these give you an additional shard slot. In the randomizer, they give you an item. We didn't see either of the runners do these yesterday, or not yesterday, in the race before, and the reason for that is because they were already in go mode by the time they got to a place that had one of these. They're slow, so they didn't do them. I'm not in go mode, and so I'm going to show off some of this game's combat. Combat is really one of the main things that sets apart this game from its predecessor. Ori and the Blind Forest, great game, beautiful game, incredible movement, not really much in the way of interesting combat. And some people will say that's a feature, and I honestly kind of agree. Ori 1's lack of combat really sets it apart from a lot of other games in this genre. But at the same time, the combat in Ori and the Will of the Wisps is incredibly fun and really interesting in a lot of different ways. And I feel like the randomizer shows that off in some ways definitely better than the speedrun does, because in the speedrun, there's always one or two things that is just optimal to be doing. But the randomizer, what gives you the most DPS or works the best, changes based on what weapons you found and what other items you found, and whether or not this guy wants to come down and let me hit him. Hello, friend, please.
Yeah, one good example of that was the lucky find of Wingclip in the race just earlier, which doubled damage on the elemental mini-boss.
Yep. And honestly, there are too many like smaller instances of that to call out. There's just a lot of different skills, a lot of different shards. Do I have any shards? Nope, I don't have any shards. Neat. I knew that.
Do we have time for a quick plug real quick?
Oh, absolutely, go for it.
We have a ton of new viewers on, and we just want to say on behalf of Games Done Quick, welcome. Right now, this is GDQ Hotfix. However, our biggest event is going to be happening this Sunday. It is called Summer Games Done Quick 2021 Online, and it is a week-long marathon benefiting Doctors Without Borders. Come see the event and donate here on the Games Done Quick channel starting July 4th through the 11th. It is so exciting. When we do not have GDQ time, we have programming pretty much every night here on the GDQ Hotfix. So if you are enjoying what you're seeing, please be sure to drop a follow and go to GamesDoneQuick.com and YouTube.com/GamesDoneQuick for more information about the Hotfix, as well as our bigger events. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, definitely be sure to check out both those. Be sure to check out the Games Done Quick marathons. They're great, and honestly, all the Hotfix shows are just really incredible. I love tuning into the Games Done Quick channel just whenever I don't know what to watch, because there's almost always something going on, and it's really cool. All right, so I've made my way to the bow tree, and I'm actually pretty low in logic check, so hopefully this will have something good. It does, grapple. Grapple will be my 8 out of my 11 skills. And with that grab, that is actually going to put a few more things in logic, and it actually is going to add an out of logic check that I'm going to make, but we'll grab, so there's this pickup at spawn that I don't really have logical access to, but we will see. It's not too hard to get with the skill set. We're just going to grapple here, there, and Neat. All right, bow is an attack that will let me do things in Qualix Hollow. It also changes the music here for interesting reason that would be a little difficult to explain in full generality, but yeah, we get a neat little music change here, and that is going to... Wait. That is not what I wanted to do. I think I'm using the wrong logic.
When playing a randomizer, it's always kind of a trade-off to think about what things to get when on the way, just because they are fast to check, and when to follow logic and kind of try to read the seed a bit to get a feeling for what's up next. In this case, this worked out really well.
Yeah, I am very happy with how this has been going so far. Okay, there we go. Sorry. 1 second. I just want to look at it real quick. There we go. All right. So now, if we open the map, we'll see. Sure. I think the map should have a few more things on it than it currently does. Oh, interesting. No, because I don't have double jump, right? Game really wants me to have double jump at this logic difficulty before heading out. I'm going to head over here and grab like 3 pickups, and then once we have grabbed those, I'm going to head back to that area we were in before and use bow to grab some cool new things. First, we have to get this guy his fang. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just to explain why a lot of things that Eiko kind of instinctively wants to go for here are not in logic. We're kind of showing off the introductory difficulty. We called it Moki after the cute critters that are around in the game, and it's meant to be able to be played if you've just completed the game even once. So no need to learn any speed runner knowledge. If you feel like trying it out, you can just jump right in.
Yep, it's good stuff. We've tried to do a lot of different things to make the game just really accessible, the randomizer really accessible to people who've just played casually. That is something of like a personal cause of mine. I have never speedrun this game. I have never speedrun any game, actually. If you check my speedrun.com profile, it is 0 runs submitted, which is always fun to go to a GDQ event. People like to do that never have I ever game, and it is very fun to do something like submitted a run to speedrun.com. But yeah, no, I joined this community through playing the randomizer of the first game, and it was a really incredible experience that I am so glad that I've had. And since then, I've tried to, in my randomizer development, put a decent amount of work into making sure that it is possible to play the game and have fun and enjoy it without ever having to delve too deep into the speedrunner side of things. All right.
And so far, that has really been working out. We even have some people who haven't even played the game in a vanilla way. So, randomizer definitely seems to be accessible enough.
Yeah, that is true. There is a Blind Forest rando player who played the randomizer after seeing people stream it before playing the base game. And Kral, if you're watching, hey. All right, so now because I have bow, I can head over this way and grab a few pickups here that I couldn't get before. Because bow can be used to flip switches, we're gonna do that here. I didn't actually need to do that one, but I do need to do this one. All right. And there is one more of these here. Whoa. Grab this, if we can do the neat timing. Oh, nope, bad. There we go. All right, so now we're in here, and ooh, okay, so that's a teleporter activation. So now I can use this teleporter to head over to here, and now I can explore the rest of Qualix Hollow. All right.
So teleporter pickups, again, something we added. It's always fun to go through areas backwards or just in a completely different way. Yeah? What's
there's
up,
a wall
Eiko?
here. I forgot. Zem, can you...
The door?
Yeah, can you help me? Oh, thank you. All right, so
Sure.
Zem just opened that door, and you might be thinking, wow, that's cheating. It's not actually. This is surprise. We are playing a co-op seed here, and Zem is currently connected to the game also. And when Zem, what just happened is Zem just pulled the lever and used that to open that door for me. Thank you very much, Zem.
Oh, I thought you might also not wanna climb all the way up there.
Oh, thank you. You. All right, Zem has drained the water. All right, Zem, how about this? You do the lower left side, Apollo, and I'll do the right side.
Oh yeah, sounds
right.
good. Sure.
Easy. All right, so we've got Zem here playing in the background, and we'll see like pickup's little bubble up as he gets them because all the item grants are shared. So we're going to grab this, and I'm going to head over here. I'm being very careful not to touch the floor because if I touch the floor, it will start a boss fight, and I don't want to fight it. We're going to make my way up towards first Wisp here, which is going to be the Voice of the Woods from Qualak.
So yeah, when we decided we wanted a co-op mode for this, we thought, why limit it to just sharing the important pickups or going for a multi-world? What if you just complete in the same world? You might not be able to see each other for now, but all the pickups that one of us get shared between the two players, and that way you can kind of split off the map, help each other with tricks that you're maybe not as familiar with as the other person, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. And we'll actually see on my map updates as Zem gets pickups. They'll just get crossed off on my map, which is a neat thing. Yeah, see, Zem just found a Gorlok ore for me. Thank you very much, Zem. Here's some Spirit Light.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, this co-op mode is actually the first one we developed by a fair bit because it didn't require any extra seed gen work. And how it works is what it's actually doing is it's syncing a bunch of individual pieces of save data between my game and Zem's. And this is actually a really fun way to introduce people to the randomizer because they can just play and do whatever they're comfortable with, and you can help them out, tell them what to do, and if there's something that's too difficult for them or something they don't want to do, you can just do it for them, and they will get that progress too. And it's a really neat mode that I'm super glad we have, and doesn't, as far as I know, have very many equivalents in other randomizers, which I'm pretty happy about. We have a lot of like really neat, unique things in this randomizer, and this kind of co-op mode is definitely one of them. We had the idea to do this at the last minute, sorry, which is why we don't have a display up for Zen's stream, but don't worry, I'm doing all the interesting stuff.
Don't worry, you're not missing anything except for gameplay from a dev who doesn't play his randomizer very much. So
yeah, Zem mostly plays the other randomizer, which is pretty funny. I think really only half of the Ori and the Will of the Wisp devs actually play our randomizer, which, you know, sometimes it's like that. Sometimes you're busy with development and don't have time to play. All right, I'm gonna show off some fun little movement things here. One of them is that, so this is a normal double jump. This is a double jump with hammer. Hammer floats, as they're called, are really, really, really good in terms of getting extra movement. Alright, so we go up and get up here, grab this pickup, and thank you for the hint about the hollow skills. Them just bought.
Yeah, thanks for sending me here.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, you could go back to Marsh if you wanted. We've still got like a hint in Marsh.
Sure, why not?
Alright. You can find one of those remainder skills. Oh, I forgot. I wanted to buy some weapon upgrades and talk about those too. Alright, so I'm going to grab this, get this teleporter activated. There we go. That's not the right place to do it. Sorry, I am. There we go. First try. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful movement techniques. This game has some really amazing movement tricks that I am mediocre at, decent at. I know how to do them. I'll struggle with some of them more than others, and that's definitely one that is a bit of a difficult, can be a bit of a difficult one. I am basically out of things that I can check here. I'm going to head back to here. And
luckily, we have that useful in-logic filter telling us exactly where you are supposed to go.
oh, I think my in-logic filter is actually bugged. I know what I need to do to fix it. I would have to go here, grab this, and copy these files.
So we've recently revamped our entire CGen, basically.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Sirius, for doing the work to make the CGen absurdly fast.
Oh yeah, our
And-
old C generator was written by me, and it was an exciting experience in how silly can you make object-oriented code, and the answer is very, very silly, but it wasn't very fast, and it was actually specifically having a lot of trouble generating it was never going to be very good at generating multi-world seeds, and it was actually struggling with some other stuff. So Sirius, who was on the race earlier and is just generally a really cool dude, highly recommend following Sirius Ashling on Twitch if you're not doing that already, wrote an entire new seed generator, and that is what we use now. All right, so weapon upgrades. We have some neat little things. This is the vanilla upgrade. These columns are all stuff that like this guy sells normally, and so this is like the weapon upgrade where you get this like shockwave attack, which is neat. These upgrades over here, these are added on by the randomizer, and they do unique things. So this is Rapid Smash. Rapid Smash makes your hammer attack faster. So now you'll see go faster with that. I can do this. Whoop, whoop. Get some of those in. That lets me do these movement techniques even better, which is great. And now I actually want to double check. Yeah, so now you'll see there's a bunch of stuff in logic on this in logic filter. I can get in logic is Wellspring, which is where I'm going to head next. I actually see a good question in chat. How do you start developing games? And I mean, there are a lot of different answers to that. I started doing randomizer development when I think like 4 months after I joined the Ori and the Blind Forest community. People were talking about how it might be neat if there was a co-op mode. I saw one of the main devs, Sigma Sign, who actually wrote the entire Ori and the Blind Forest randomizer, did a lot of incredible work there, and then left our community, not really left our community, but stopped being as active because he actually got hired by Moon Studios, the developers of this game and the other game, and he worked on this game. You can find his name in the credits for this game, which is really amazing. It's so cool. Every time I see that, I smile because Sigma just started out working on this game, modding it, and then he moved on and like now works for the company that makes it and worked on this game that I'm playing right now, and it's just really wonderful to think about, honestly. Very happy for Sigma.
Definitely. The Ori 1 randomizer is also a work of art, and you should definitely check it out if you haven't already. And there was
absolutely.
A lot of work put into that one as well.
Yeah, one of the really neat we actually have a lot of really neat features in that randomizer too, and it was on the Games Done Quick channel hotfix earlier this month. And one thing I want to say real quick before we forget is we are running a Ori and the Blind Forest randomizer tournament. Signups are actually opening this weekend. If you want to learn more about that, head to orirando.com and fish around the links. Or fish around in the link section. You can find a link to our Discord where you can learn all about our tournament plan. But back to Ori and the Will-O-Wisps, the game I am actually playing. Just running around the Wellspring Glades area, grabbing as many pickups as I can. There are a lot of neat ones here. Thank you.
Yeah, but coming also back to the question earlier, how to get into all of this. Honestly, in a lot of cases, it's just finding a community or a game where you wanna do something, write a mod or something, and just trying it out. The worst that can happen is that you need to ask for some help. But even in this community, we had people actually learn programming with the seed language system I talked about earlier, with the header system, and now they are here writing a CGen for us. So things can go way faster than you expect.
Yeah, we've had incredible amount of community participation and involvement in creating this randomizer, and I am so thankful to everyone. One of the things that we're honestly still in beta, and one of the features that I am really excited to work on soon is an extended. When did we get Glide? An extended like credit system, so I can just do shout outs to everyone who has worked on this randomizer and made it the wonderful tool that it is. Did you find Glide? I have no idea when did I find Glide? When was that?
I may have found Glide while we were plugging our tournament, yes.
Oh, okay. That might have been why I missed it. Yeah, Zem and I are two of the tournament coordinators for running the Ori and the Blind Forest tournament, and we haven't, the Ori community has not done one of these in a long time, so it is a really exciting thing to see. A bunch of people are coming out of the woodwork, coming back to the game, or trying it for the first time, and it's really been a wonderful experience seeing all of that. Yeah, we are currently playing co-op. We've only got one stream on because we decided to do this at the last minute, but Zem is also playing Ori right now. And Zem, where are you? Like on the map?
I am doing a very slow combat shrine.
Bottom.
Back down all the way back in
Yeah,
March.
so Zem is actually currently right here fighting this, and I'll get a pickup from that when he finishes it. We're doing... This game doesn't have any native multiplayer, but we are currently playing co-op. And the way the co-op works is we have our save files are actually synced, and when I get there are a bunch of different individual pieces of save data that when I get them, Zem will get them, and vice versa. Really neat stuff that is built on top of a system that Zem did basically all of the hard work for. So thank you, Zem, for bringing us this multiplayer. Speaking of combat shrines, I'm going to do this one right here. Alright, so we're gonna bully a crab. It's good to bully crabs. Otherwise they get too proud of the fact that they just keep evolving. Carcinization. Wild stuff. Right? They also have these like really obnoxious pincer attacks, but they are no match for my hammer. We're really seeing, getting a lot of value out of that rapid smash attack upgrade that I was able to pick up earlier. I should try not to die. Hey, no, stop. Heal. Gonna, like, Ori 2 follows the Ori 1 rule of basically every enemy that fires a projectile is more vulnerable to that projectile than they are to basically any other source of damage. So, you know, good to take the time to line up fast shots. However, Ori 2, it is much easier to just deal a lot of damage really quickly with melee weapons. Melee weapons not being a thing. Ori 1.
Yeah, Ori 1 combat was often very much reduced to button mashing, either your basic attack in the early game or just spamming the charge dash ability in the late game.
Charge dash is balanced and good game design. Everybody liked it.
No, I just can't argue with that.
I mean, everyone did like it. Charge dash is so much fun to use. Alright, so I'm gonna go here, grab this, touch this ledge, and I'm gonna use this. Was it the energy fragment what you got from that combat shrine?
No, that was a Golic Ore earlier.
Okay.
I am going all the way back into Midnight Burrows right now.
Oh, neat. That might be where the last skill is. Okay, so this is the Wellspring. The Wellspring. The Wellspring is the area where you get grapple, and you're not supposed to have it when you enter, but when you do, it lets you just sort of climb up the side of this wall repeatedly, and it's really fun. I love the movement in this area when you have grapple to start, because you can just sort of very efficiently climb up the side of this. I'm going to try and get a nice angle off here so I can touch the wall here, grab this. Ah! All right, health. Neat. One actually like tiny thing that is so minor, I usually forget to mention it, is that in the base game of Ori and the Blind Forest, or Ori and the Will-O-Wisp, sorry, pick up these health fragments or energy fragments. You have to get 2 of them to get like a full health cell. One of the things that, like, basically think of them as like heart containers, but it's just 2 pieces to a heart container. One of the first things we did in the Ori and the Will-O-Wisp randomizer was we decided that we thought that was kind of lame. So what you'll see instead here is every time you get a fragment, it just gives you half of a health cell. So you can see here that I have 6.5 health and also 6.5 energy. And so instead of having to wait for the every other health cell to give you something, you instead get a pickup. Or you get like the resource every time you get one of these pickups, which is neat. Small little change, but I wanted to call it out because I think it's neat. All right, so I'm just gonna head all the way over the top of the wellspring and grab a bunch of pickups here. This game is so pretty. Just, I love this entire area. It's one of my favorites. Very blue. Blue's a good color. Highly recommend it. Thinking, what color should I make something?
Yeah, both the visuals and the soundtrack. You can't have an Ori showcase without mentioning the amazing soundtrack. Thanks, Gareth Coker.
Yeah, Gareth Coker,
It's a treasure.
composer of both Ori games. Really incredible work. The soundtrack for both these games is just unbelievably good. In fact, one of the reasons I love doing all of the Wellspring is because once you finish, the music that starts playing in this area once you get through the like later parts of it is just really incredible.
So with us having shown off a bit of a different style of game than the race earlier, what other modes can you play if you really feel like it?
So we've got the co-op mode that we're playing right now. We also have other multiplayer modes. We recently-ish, it's been like a month, right? When did we like start coming out with multi-worlds?
Yeah, it should have been a month.
Recently came out with like your usual style of multi-world where pickups for one player are in another seed, and that's been great. The multi-world in this game can take a long time. Really good. What else do we have? We have bingo, which we mentioned earlier. We have a couple variants on that. We have discovery bingo, which is bingo, but you can only see a couple squares, and then whenever you complete a square, it reveals the squares around them. That's a really neat game mode. It's actually a lot easier to play than normal bingo because it's just less overwhelming. All right, so we jump up here. All right, did I forget anything? We have so many game modes, it's hard to keep track.
Yeah, for those who like competing, we have lockout races for bingo modes.
Oh, I forgot about lockout. All right, Tim, how does lockout work?
So in lockout, you no longer compete for lines, but instead you split the board between the players, and whoever gets and once you complete a goal, no one else can do that. And then it's just a race to gain control over a majority of the board. And that has some really interesting routing choices in races, because you have all those mind games. Do I go for something quick and potentially get sniped, or do I try to put it off for something else, and so on. So those have been fun races to watch all the time.
I actually haven't gotten to watch as many lockout races as you have. One interesting thing about online communities in general, honestly, but the Ori and the Will-O-Wisp community in particular, is that people just are spread out across different time zones, and we have a really high concentration of people in EU time zones. Zem here is German. Honestly, a lot of our rando players and developers are German. Really sweet to have them, but it also means that their prime time for streaming is typically either during my workday or around when I really should be asleep. Tragically miss out on a lot of races, and sometimes wake up to like several pings telling me something's broken. Alright, I think I can get up here. Yeah, there we go. I do want to pull that lever. Alright, so we're gonna pull this. Alright. And I think what we'll do is we actually didn't plan on doing a full seed here, and I don't think we're going to have enough time. We're still not going to have enough time to do it because there's another show coming up. So I think what I will do is call this time on finishing the Watermill Escape, which is going to be coming up pretty soon, or the Wellspring Escape, sorry. I sometimes like slip into calling I spend a lot of time staring at this game's code, and the Wellspring area is called Watermill in the game's code, and sometimes I will slip into just calling things what the game's code calls it and not the actual.
Some of us still call launch chat jump on accident,
You do that on purpose, don't lie.
and sometimes I do it on accident too.
Yeah, okay. I don't believe him.
Did y'all want to talk about yourselves real quick before, as we're closing on RNG for tonight?
Yeah, there's like probably like 3 to 5 more minutes of gameplay to get up to where we are going to finish the escape from, or like start the escape from. But yeah, I'm Ego the Blue. I basically play Ori, mostly program Ori, honestly. I work on the mods for this game more than playing them. But yeah, when I stream, I'm streaming Ori or sometimes just some random stuff. I'm actually excited to stream a couple different new release games that are coming real quick, but mostly just Ori stuff. Zem, you want to plug yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Skybilz. I also do some render development, especially for this game. Playing, I do more of the first game, Ori 1. Basically always randomized. Sometimes, seldomly, I also do a run or two of the vanilla game, but it's mostly just randomizer. And there's a tournament coming up, so a lot of prep work for that is happening.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you are into watching randomized Ori, especially Ori and the Blind Forest, there are so many streams available these days. It's honestly great. It's been great for everything but my ability to like pay attention when I should be working, because I just find myself drawn towards watching a bunch of cool people running Ori streams. This room that I'm in right now actually has like a really fun puzzle in it where you're supposed to spin this big wheel 3 times. You don't have to do any of that. You can just sort of head through with almost every skill set and make your way to the top. And then we are going to do some fun little glides. Love glides. Glide is such a fun skill to use. And we're gonna open this door. With this door open, we get access.
And that opens up. Yeah, it opens up the Wellspring Escape, which is gonna be our final little segment here for tonight.
Tragically, not having time to complete that room I was in before prevents us from hearing, honestly, this game, or one of my favorite songs in this game, which is the song that you get only at the very end of Wellspring, or at the very top of Wellspring typically, but that's okay, because we are also going to hear another incredible piece of music, which is the Wellspring Escape theme, right after we get grabbed by this gross tentacle monster, which is very rude. Look at this thing. But it's okay, our friend Offer the Monkey is here to save us. He's going to save us free, or break us free. And now it is time to run away. Alright, so right away I'm going to be doing this thing where you can use hammer and dash to cancel each other and get a dash even faster. But mostly this escape is just a lot of horizontal movement, neat little stuff.
Yeah, this is where you already have bash and grapple and basically everything Echo has also in the base game, so we're gonna see a very intended version of the escape. Falling into the room, spinning around with the water chasing you. It's a great experience. Can recommend it.
Yeah. I love this escape. It's very fun, and the music is just great.
Also, if you go at a moderately fast speed, you're gonna have the music just line up with the movement, which is very nice, especially in this room right here.
All right, and that is a great place to end this off. Thank you. I'm gonna pause here. Thank you so much for having us, Sky, and really the entire GDQ Hotfix team. And Zem, thank you so much for being here. Sirius, Seal, and OMFQ, who are all on before, thank you so much for being on. This has been a really awesome experience having or just getting to showcase this wonderful randomizer and the community behind it.
Is there anything more y'all would like to talk about the tournament?
We mentioned this before, but head over to OriRando.com and look for the Discord link if you want to learn more about the Ori and the Blind Forest tournament we're running. It's sign-ups start this weekend. We're going to have qualifiers starting a week after GDQ ends, and it's going to be a really sweet not qualifiers, but a preliminary round into a huge double elimination bracket. And if you're interested in watching that, check out Speed Gaming. Speed Gaming.
Also, we should maybe play one more thing, Eiko. If someone feels like playing Will of the Wisps randomizer right now, what should they do?
They should also, or I guess, head over to willofthewisps.ori or wotw.orirender.com, and there's a link there to join the development Discord, which is where we have links to download and install a randomizer and a bunch of really helpful, friendly people, including me and Zem and everyone else you've seen on here today, who can help you get started and set up. We are in a bit of a transitionary stage where Zem is furiously tapping away at getting us a new website, and when we have that, it'll be much easier to get started. But even right now, it's in its beta form, this randomizer. It's a lot of fun, and I cannot recommend it highly enough. Thank you so much for having us. Sky?
Yes, and I thank you both, as well as the other wonderful runners we had on earlier, and commentators. I don't want to leave out the commentators. Commentary was stellar tonight, so !RNG, please be sure to give everyone from this wonderful Ori and the Will of the Wisps a follow, please, and thank you. However, we are not done with content tonight here on GDQ Hotfix. So again, we have our big event coming up. SGDQ 2021 Online is this upcoming weekend. Come see a week-long marathon benefiting Doctors Without Borders and see the event and donate here on the Games Done Quick channel starting July 4th to the 11th. Go to GamesDoneQuick.com for more information about SGDQ as well as our Hotfix shows. So again, we are not finished here tonight with the broadcast. As soon as we are done with this break, we'll be coming back with Time Capsule, showcasing a 2-player, 1-controller run of Final Fantasy X2. I always like to preview. Again, we will be back in 2 weeks with more random number generation. The next run of RNG will be Pokemon Ironmon settings with eye-ear pies. So if y'all want to see that, that is going to be awesome. Please be sure to come back in 2 weeks for random number generation. Coming up next is Time Capsule. Thank you all so much, Skybilz, for GDQ Hotfix. We'll be right back.